This is Cooking with Mr. or Miss Guns, Knives, and Watches.
Hi, tonight I'm going to teach you the secret to making the perfect fried rice. Mr. and Guns, Knives, and Watches and myself used to frequent a Chinese place in our town. We will not name names. And we went there for the fried rice. But one time we got sick, so we've never been back. And I have, in many attempts, tried to learn how to make it myself, but didn't know all the secrets that kind of went behind making the perfect fried rice. But now I've done it a lot and pretty much have it down to a science. So here's what we're going to start with. We use brown rice. However, you can use white rice, but we actually just prefer the taste of brown rice. Now, note though, if you're new to brown rice, it's going to take a lot longer to cook than white rice. So I can't give you an exact time on how long this is going to take. You're just going to have to taste it and then go from there. First thing I do though is I rinse the rice. This just kind of helps get any extra dirt off of it that might be on there and any starch. With brown rice, it's not a big deal that if there's a little starch because it doesn't have much starch to begin with. So with white rice, you really want to make sure you rinse it. You could even possibly soak it. While that is draining over here, so for every cup of rice you use, you need to double the amount of water. So I have 1 cup of dry rice, so I need 2 cups of liquid, and instead of water, I use chicken stock, if I can get this open. Okay. And so for those of you who are vegetarians, this would not be an option for you, but for those, you can just use water instead, but make sure if you're just going to use water to put salt in the water. It does need that. This adds a little bit of protein though too, for those of you who are not vegetarians. So it's kind of a healthy way to actually add some extra protein in your rice. This is the Costco brand. It's organic and fairly low in sodium, but it still has, some sodium in there. But the rice actually really needs that to cook well. Okay, we're going to bring this to a boil. Your pots come with lids for a reason. Cover it. It will make it boil much faster. Also, if you're cooking on a gas stove and maybe you just started cooking on a gas stove, if it's that high, it's not going to work very well because the flames are coming up over the pot. So you want to make sure that your flame is well contained underneath your pot, and that will just help it actually cook faster than if you crank it up really high. So we're going to wait until the water boils to add our rice.
And we'll be back.
Okay, we're back. And the water is boiling, and the rice is going to go in. And I always use a wooden spoon with rice. Something I heard Julia Child say one time. Don't really know why. Doesn't matter because she said it. And I just do it. I think it helps the rice not smash it and help it stay fluffy. So we're going to kind of stir it around for a second. We're going to let this come back to a boil, then reduce the heat, and then cover again. But we got to kind of let it come to a boil first. And the cook time on this, like I said again, it really depends on what kind of rice you're cooking. Look at your rice package, look in a cookbook for exact time. They're going to tell you an exact time. From my point of view, when I cooked white rice, it was about 15 to 20 minutes and it was done. The brown rice is going to take probably twice the amount of time that the white rice does. So this is probably going to take about 30 minutes. And like I said, we're letting it come back up to a boil, and then the key to really well cooked rice is to cook it low, because if you cook it too fast, water's going to evaporate and your rice is going to be hard. So it's not going to be thoroughly cooked. So pretty much looks like we're getting back up to a boil. Now I'm going to reduce this about to 2. And we're going to check it again in 15 minutes and we'll show you what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, as you can see, our rice, the timer's almost up on our 15 minutes, and the rice is still has a lot of liquid in it, and is really just now starting to cook. So it's going to need another solid good 15 minutes. Here's the thing though, I'm going to turn it down just even a little bit more so that it doesn't cook too quickly and doesn't take all of that liquid out that is actually using it. The rice is using to cook. And I'm going to pour just a little bit of chicken stock in there so the rice is a little bit more covered again. And I'm going to put the lid back on and set the timer for another 15 minutes. Okay, and we'll show you what it looks like in another 15 minutes. Okay, we're back after another 15 minutes. So it has now been on boiling for 30 minutes. As you can see, there's still a little bit of water, but at this point I kind of want to see what it tastes like. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of rice here. It still has a little bite to it, it's still a little crunchy. So I need to mention too that the last 15 minutes I did add again just maybe about a tablespoon of chicken stock, just so that the liquid wouldn't cook out. And you'll find that that will happen faster and easier with brown rice. For one reason, it's cooking longer, so more of your liquid's going to evaporate. Also, I think it just has something to do with the brown rice. So again, just a tiny little bit. Lid back on. Now we're going to say maybe another 10 minutes. We'll check it in 10 this time.
And then again, white rice would just be a totally different cook time.
Oh yeah, white rice would have been done probably within the first 15 to 20 minutes. So right now we're going on already cooked for 30 and set it for another 10. So, and it depends on the kind of pot you're using, obviously. It depends on a lot of things. But the white rice will cook faster than the brown rice. So we'll see you in 10. Okay, we're back and our last 10 minutes are up. And this looks correct. This is what your rice should look like. Nice and fluffy. I'm going to go ahead and turn this heat off though. And I kind of stuck in here a second ago and took a taste of it. And it is now soft, but still, you want it soft, but you don't want it mushy. So this is good. And you can see that it's not really sticking to the bottom of the pan. If your rice is stuck to the bottom, then you've overcooked it. So, and that's a very fine line. That's why even when I give you these cook times, you still need to come and check on the food before the timer goes off, because even that might not be exactly correct, which is what I always do too. So what I'm going to do now is, since this is going to be fried rice, it has to cool, and that's a big trick with fried rice. So it needs to go into this strainer. Okay. So, this back over here. Now that it's in the strainer, this is a big thing too. With white rice at this point in the cooking process, your white rice is going to be very starchy, very sticky. And so one reason we're going to rinse it for the white rice people is that it's going to help get all that extra starch off and make your rice fry better. However, we can't put this into the freezer because it's very hot, and that's just a problem. So I'm going to rinse the brown rice, but I'm going to rinse it as quickly as I can. I don't want it to get too wet. I just want to cool it off really quick. Okay, And you can actually kind of see the rice separate after you rinse it. So it's kind of neat to see how that actually works. I'm going to feel it real quick. Make sure it's not too hot. And it's not. So this is going to go in the freezer now, just like this. If I can find room. For approximately 30 minutes. Again, let's see if this works. Again, that's all just based on the temperature of the rice when you put it in there, the temperature of your freezer, and it may vary. So I would check it. I definitely wouldn't open it though for 30 minutes. So give it a good 30 minutes, then come back and check it. It has to be cold. So if after 30 minutes your rice still isn't cold, then you need to wait. That's a huge part of the frying process. It has to be cold. So we will be back in 30 minutes to check again. Hi, I'm back. Not with the rice, but I wanted to show you guys what I'm going to do that is going to go along with the rice tonight. I made baked chicken the other day, and it was kind of a barbecued baked chicken, but it's a homemade sauce. So it's a tomato-based sauce with honey, soy sauce, ketchup, and honey mustard. So it's kind of like a glaze. So what I'm trying to do to use some of that up is I'm chopping it up, and this is to go along with the rice that we're going to have tonight. And I'm just kind of chopping it into cubes first, and then just taking the whole thing and running the knife back over it, almost like it's shredded. But it's pretty easy to do it with this big knife, except my cutting board is not on an even surface. And then what I'll do with this is I'm going to put a little bit of soy sauce in here, almost like a marinade, while I'm waiting for the rice to cool. And then while I'm cooking the rice, I will take the chicken with the soy sauce marinade, throw it in a pan next to it to reheat it. But the soy sauce will kind of give it some moisture again and some kind of bring it back to life. Plus it'll work really well with the glaze that's already on the chicken. So a good way to use leftovers that's healthy. So we will be back in another 20 minutes to start cooking the rice and reheating the chicken. And for the soy sauce, I'm not really going to measure. Just going to kind of pour some soy sauce over it. Not a whole lot though, because soy sauce, as you know, has lots of salt and sodium, and you don't want to kill all the good flavors going on in this chicken with soy sauce. You just want a little bit.
And we'll be back.
Hi, we're back. And our timer went off actually a few minutes ago, but I've also been prepping some other vegetables and things that I'm going to make to go with the rice. So, our rice is very cold, and actually some pieces are a little bit frozen, but that's okay because the colder the better. So I already have a very big skillet heating up, and I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. And I'm going to use olive oil because for a few reasons. Olive oil tastes good, it's good for you, and it doesn't have all the bad fat that butter has. Plus, I just don't think butter and Asian food really go that well together. I might be wrong, but that's just me. So, just pour a little bit in. That might be a couple tablespoons. I don't measure things very much, so just kind of go by what it looks like. What I have here is, if you go to most Asian places, I know it looks kind of weird, but when you go to most Asian places, you get rice with eggs in it. I have taken out most of the yellows. I accidentally got a couple pieces in there, so it looks kind of funny. But I take out the yellows for health reasons. Less cholesterol, less fat. But it's okay if you want to use the yellows or get a few pieces in there. It's not going to ruin the recipe. So, and I actually even added just a little bit of water to the egg whites too, just to help them spread out a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and pour that in. to our pan here. The pan isn't as hot as I want it, but right now that's actually okay with the eggs because it'll give it a little while to heat up. But now when you're ready for the rice, you want this pan extremely hot. While that's doing its thing, I'm going to explain what I'm going to do here. This pan is going to be for kind of a stir fry blend. I already chopped up the onions and green peppers. That will go in there with some olive oil. After those cook for a little bit, I'm going to add the chicken. Let me get that out. Sorry, the refrigerator. And here's what the chicken looks like after it's kind of been marinating in the soy sauce. Plus, remember it had that barbecue mustard ketchup sauce on it too. So, some other ingredients that I'm going to show you that I'm going to use with the rice that really add to the flavor. One of them is this, hot chili oil. I've used a few different brands. This one, Roland hot chili oil, seems to be the hottest that I've found. But some of them have some different ingredients. This one, I'm not seeing exactly where it says. See, it's made of soybean oil. I also like sesame oil. So I really prefer hot sesame oil because the sesame oil is a little bit healthier, but this tastes really good too. So it's whatever you want to use. If you just want to use plain regular sesame oil, or the hot, or just this hot chili oil, it's going to add a lot of flavor to your rice. Also, I'm going to throw in some ginger, ground ginger with the rice, and then a lot of pepper, lots and lots, and then a little bit of onion powder in the rice. Again, it just gives it kind of a different flavor. I'm not going to get started on the vegetables and chicken because, believe it or not, if you haven't figured it out already, fried rice is a labor of love. It takes a while. It's very time intensive. So if you're somebody who doesn't like to spend a lot of time in the kitchen, this might not be the dish for you. But if you plan right, you could make the rice the day before, throw it in the refrigerator, and then it'd be much faster. The whole process would be cut pretty much in half by the time you're ready to cook the next day. I started this pretty early when I came home from work because I knew I wanted to have it tonight. So that works too. So as your egg starts to cook, you're going to want to break it up because you want it to be in little pieces. And I will admit it looks a little bit funny because of the olive oil. It's going to give it kind of a funny color right now, but later on it will look just like a regular egg that's been fried, minus the yellow. The key to this, though, is, like I said, a lot of things. Very cold rice, very hot pan, big pan, and rice that's just been cooked properly in the first place, which took me a long time to learn how to do. And the thing I like about this recipe is I've taken and I've borrowed and stolen from lots of other recipes. So this has really kind of become my own. I just have made it the way I thought it tasted the best and the way that I thought worked the best for the dish. Oh, didn't forget the soy sauce. We're also going to add some soy sauce to the rice, but this is key too. We're not going to add the soy sauce to the rice until the rice is cooked in the pan for a long time. You want the rice to, just want it to be in there for a long time. And then the pan's even hotter. By the time you add this, the soy sauce adds flavor and it browns the rice and makes it nice and crispy, which is the key to a good fried rice. But remember, it's towards the end. So if I forget that later to tell you that, that's why I'm telling you now. Okay, the egg is not cooked all the way. That's okay. What you do, kind of push it off to the sides. And as you can see, it absorbed. Make a mess. It absorbed a lot of oil. So, the rice is also going to absorb a lot of oil because it's rice. Rice absorbs, that's what it does. So, add a little more olive oil. Now it's time to throw your rice in. And that noise is what you want. If it doesn't sizzle when you throw the rice in, your pan's not hot enough and your rice might not be cold enough. Now what you want to do is just spread it out. And here's where fine art of this comes in. Can't really give you any times on this. I just can't. You're just going to have to try it. Going to have to cook it maybe even a couple of times. Like I said, it's not for the faint of heart because I might tell you 10 minutes and it might not be done in 10 minutes or it might be done quicker. So just going to let this cook for a while. Not going to start on this quite yet. Going to give this a few minutes first. So we'll check back for the sake of just having a timeline here. I'll set a timer for 6 minutes and we'll check back in 6 minutes and show you the progress on the rice. We're back and our timer's almost up. As you can see, there's lots of steam coming up, and before I flip the rice, I'm going to go ahead and add ground pepper. And the more the better, in my opinion. Might even add more later. Okay. And I'm going to add ginger, probably about, I'm going to pour it in my hand first so that I don't just do a big glob of ginger. Looks like it's about a teaspoon. Okay. Whew. It's going to make me sneeze. Okay. So now what we're going to do, and excuse me, some onion powder. We're going to go ahead and stir this stuff up. The best thing to do, kind of pile it together, flip it over, and it's going to need to cook for another 6 minutes. So we're going to take a break on this. We'll come back, turn the heat down just a little bit, and we'll show you what's going on. I've started preheating this, and that should be going by the time we come back too. We'll see you in another 6. Okay, we're back, and we have a minute left, but it's probably, yeah, it's counting down now. The vegetables are in. These all-clad pans are awesome because they heat up very quickly. They're great conductors of heat. So I already have the vegetables in there, and as you can see, they're simmering away, sizzling away. Back to our rice. We turned the heat down a little bit because we didn't want it to overcook either, but it's still very hot. What I'm going to do now is kind of push it around. You can start to hear it sizzle again. And throw the hot chili oil in there. Maybe about a tablespoon of that or so, and then again you might want to add more or less, or none at all. Mix it all up. And you get, the smell is amazing. It's a really spicy smell. Just integrate that really good with your rice. And then spread your rice back out again. Now it will be time very soon for the soy sauce, but we're going to let that kind of do its thing for a minute while the vegetables are still cooking. And I like, especially with a stir fry, for the vegetables to not get too soft. So the onions are starting to look a little bit translucent, so that tells me that it's time for the chicken. I'm going to turn the heat down on this a little bit because we just want to reheat the chicken. We don't want to re-cook it or it will get dry. So all the chicken and juice goes in. And we're going to get that back up to temperature. So just kind of let it do its thing while the rice is finishing its process. And actually, I am going to go ahead, turn that back up just a little bit. I know I just said I turned it down, but I'm going to go ahead and add the soy sauce to our rice. That sizzling is what's really going to make our rice. We gotta mix it up. That nice, crispy brown is gonna add a lot of flavor. So while that's finishing its cooking, that's gonna heat up, and then we're gonna be done. So I'm gonna do another 6 minutes. We'll be back with you. Okay, we'll be back. Hold on, I really wanna.
It's been recorded.
Oh, okay. Sorry. The last 6 minutes, I bumped the heat back up because this soy sauce, you don't want a lot of liquid left. And I'm going to call my rice done because it's kind of hard to tell because of the soy sauce, but there's nice little brown spots on the top. And this has already been heated up to a point that, you know, I've tasted that too. And it's kind of simmering on the inside, you can tell. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my rice off too. And I'm going to flip it one more time. So you can see right in here how it's brown. And you pretty much want to serve this immediately because it will continue to cook as long as it's in the pan. And I hope that even though this is a time-intensive thing and it takes a while and there's a lot of ingredients and steps, hope you take the time to try it because I think it's well worth the wait. Just like any good food, good wine or anything like that, it takes time and it's worth it in the end. It's very good, so hope you enjoy and try it sometime.
You gonna plate any?
Yeah, sure. I can do that. How I usually plate this, go ahead, just throw it on, and then put chicken stir fry, and vegetables. You can add whatever vegetables to your stir fry too. Some people do carrots and bamboo shoots. I don't really care for those, but green peppers, onions, and chicken are my favorite. So now I kind of have to take a bite because we've got it all together. Make sure you blow on it because it's really hot. It's very good. And I can see Guns, Knives, and Watch's mouth drooling as he's taping. So please try. Let us know if you like it. Any suggestions for improvement or anything, you know, you change and add to yours that you really liked, you think we might like, let us know. Bon appetit.
Have a good one.